Tonight's board meeting. We'll start the meeting off with pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from the September board meeting have been shared with the board previous to tonight's meeting. I ask for motion for the approval of those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September board meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Personnel items. First on the docket, Aaron McMeans, coaching 7th and 8th boys basketball.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Karen Bruder as a substitute teacher.
I'll make a motion to approve Karen Bruder as a substitute teacher.
I'll second that.
I'll abstain from.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Jimmy Collins as a special education bus aide.
I'll make a motion to approve Jimmy Collins as a special education bus aide.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
The next three are volunteer positions. Claire Garwood, helping with the basketball program for the girls basketball program.
Super. I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
And
approved.
Penny Brown, volunteer coaching with the cheerleading squad.
I'll make a motion to approve that. Penny Brown for the volunteer coach cheerleading squad.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
And lastly, Ryan Hall, I believe.
I'll make a motion to approve Ryan Paul for the volunteer coach for the boys basketball.
I'll second. I also abstained from that vote. All approved?
Yeah. Yes.
Hey,
Motion
good
approved.
one. Thank you.
Moving on to tonight's clean docket.
That runs from page 11 to 17 in your packet.
I'm comparing it right now, and
We're getting there. I keep pulling some other sheets out.
It's a little better,
It's better.
Kelly.
I know. Change is harder for people.
redwood trees are no longer quivering.
Were there any questions by the board in the clean docket? If there are no question, I ask for a motion for the approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the claim docket.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. Moving on to the balance sheet. Any questions about the board and the balance sheet? Next line item, there would be public comments. Are there any public comments this evening on the agenda?
Let me point something out real quick, because Guy and I still being a little out of sync in sorts, but he's also got the SA5 included in there. So you're also looking at the SA5 too, because I didn't break that out. So let's see if there was any board questions on that. Not that, we'll just leave that approval in the claim docket then. Back to your public comments.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, for volunteers, do you do background checks on volunteers like you do paid staff?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what type of understanding do you do in writing with your volunteers so that the school's insurance covers them?
We have a form. We actually just had a little bit of an update with that form today, but I do not have a copy of it with me. I'd be happy to share that with you though.
No, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, we have a one-page document that kind of explains the difference from employee to volunteer,
Right.
and some liability disclaimers and different things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm just very risk adverse.
Yes.
I'm always thinking about risk.
Hey, we've got somebody in the office that does that full-time for me
Good.
too.
Good. Thank you.
So we actually just talked about that very thing today
Okay.
because of having 3 volunteers on there.
Yeah, I had the thought about it, and I was like, oh, we got all these volunteers, it must be something that protects the institution as well as the kids.
Yes, now there are 2 different levels of background checks.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a little more cost effective for the volunteers, which makes sense since we're not compensating them.
Mhm.
Any additional questions?
I was wondering could you guys elaborate, do you still plan to go forward with changing your meeting dates to, I believe it was the 3rd Tuesday in the new schedule, if I was looking at it right before?
That's on to pose that question to the board and see what they're thinking.
I would just note that that's the same time and date of the month that South Central holds their meetings, just so you guys are aware. And then if you're going to do this later, then it's not necessary to do it now, but I was wondering if you might summarize the general changes in your guys' teacher contract, what's going to be changing.
Yep, we're gonna do that when we open that hearing portion up.
Cool.
That doesn't reflect us though, right? South Central's, okay.
Well, yeah, that would be, I don't know if that's
Right,
relevant
yeah.
to us
Okay.
or not relevant, but
Tuesdays are better for me.
Well, thank you for the comments. Any additional? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which will be teacher contracts.
yeah, so we're gonna open the tentative agreement public hearing. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to open the tentative public hearing on the teachers' contracts.
I will second that one.
The hearing is now open.
So we give a little bit of background, and you each have a tentative agreement in your packet. And you did, I know some of you received that email with that today from me. Basically, the main highlights are of this 2-year contract. Our teachers it will average out to about an 11.5% pay increase for certified staff. There are 3 different categories within there based on years of experience. I would say that negotiations were very amicable and went well. And I was pleased with how both sides conducted the process. I think and I have Alyssa here too, I think we would both agree that both sides were pleased with everything that we agreed to. It is the 2nd consecutive largest raise given for Tri-Township teachers. So we're pleased with that. And it does, actually just by nature of getting an email to my inbox through the School Boards Association, we have several schools, large schools in the state that we are on par with. Those that I know who have closed their bargaining season and come to an agreement. One of note here, fairly close to us, in Harris-Madison, we actually were able to provide a bigger raise than what that union and school came to an agreement on. There was a couple other schools that happened to come into that email articles today. The Bartholomew Consolidated Schools, a district down near Indy, has 760 teachers, so it kind of gives you the idea of the scale of it. But they were a 12% over the next 2 years raise, and here we are at 11.5%. So I think we can all feel really good about that. There was Central Noble, we actually were quite a bit higher from a monetary standpoint. They are looking at $3,250 total increase over the next 2 years. And our average for teachers, no, our minimum for a teacher is $4,500. So I'd say we can feel pretty darn good about that. So, and even though for the tentative agreement stage at this particular hearing, we don't have an obligation for further questions on that, but we will entertain them if there are others. We didn't do anything different with insurance. I would say that would be one thing that would still remain on our goal, both sides. As we all know, that continues to be a thorn for everybody in every walk of life.
As insurance costs increase for you guys, who absorbs those increases? Is that the teachers or is that the school corporation, or a mix of both?
I would say it's a mix of both.
Mix of both?
Yeah.
And you said it was $4,500 minimum increase for all certified staff members?
Minimum, yes. What was our high point? 59? 5,900 for some categories.
Could you explain how those categories work?
Years of experience. So kind of a middle group. There's something called a compression issue where ever since the years of experience model that used to exist kind of went away in the market, what's happened over the last 7 or 8 years, maybe 10, is in order to get positions filled, you're trying to creep up that bottom. That's pushed some newer teachers up somewhat close to teachers who have more experience. So we kind of agreed to modify that to try to reduce that compression issue. It's an issue that most superintendents are dealing with across the state.
Interesting. And so the solution to that was like several tiers then? Is that
3 tiers.
3 tiers?
Yeah, just 3 for us. Yeah, there's districts that have several tiers. Like I said, I mentioned Bartholomew Consolidated having 760 teachers. They would have quite a different formula.
Were there any changes to other fringe benefits or like holidays or anything like that? Nope.
Our extracurricular scale also, we agreed to several different areas that increased. That was just a case-by-case basis. Nothing applied to the entire ECA schedule.
And I know this is a separate process of figuring out these increases, but what about the non-certified staff? I know this isn't part of that bargaining, but.
Right, nothing during this bargaining season reflected that, but a lot of that took place previously. Some of those are done individually by date of hire.
That's all I can think of now. Thank you.
As for the increase, is that like some of it in year 1, some of it in year 2?
That's correct.
Right?
Yep, and that's again a little bit different based on the category. So
Is some of that still performance
yes,
based as well?
you have to have at least 2 criteria to have the raise based on. So ours is based on years of experience and evaluation. And the best example I can give you on like where the raise comes in at, our newest people who were just hired, we chose to defer some of that raise to their second year for obvious reasons. We want them to come back to us and hopefully not jump ship after 1 year. So it was in our best interest to do that. So,
Is this raise always, is it continuance on their education for, like you have classes or send them to different seminars?
right, no, we currently don't have that. That used to be a big component of older contract models. There isn't really, based on how you can renew your license these days through professional growth points, there isn't enough incentive left right now for a master's degree if you're gonna remain a classroom teacher, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Sure does.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification, that $4,500 minimum increase, was that for over 2 years or just the
2
first year?
years.
Okay.
Yep. And that 4,500 increase over 2 years is where that 11+% increase comes from.
What was the increase for the first year of that?
Well, again, it's different for different categories.
Different tiers.
Let's say for a fifth-year teacher, the year one, can you think off the top of your head, Alyssa? Before I have to dig for it? Or Brian, was it
Percent 3,000.
3,000?
I think it's 3,000 and 1,500 for the,
Yeah, I think we had 3,000 in the front and 1,500
unless you were in one of
for the
six.
second year. Thank you,
Right.
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Yes,
Hi, may I ask where that was posted?
on the website, main page of the corporation website.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the questions. Any questions by the board?
All right.
Let's now ask a motion for the closing of the hearing.
I'll make,
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, the board meeting calendar for 2022, second reading. I have this on here just for information. I wanted to throw it your way again. Contemplating a move to Tuesday nights, I believe the second Tuesday of the month. See when have any concerns with that. Basically with shared duties between myself and Mr. Ritchie, that kind of fits with what he's doing for us on the calendar of events. So let's continue, since we're short one tonight, we'll ponder that another month, and then I'll probably bring that back to you for a decision next month. Right. And then number 9, we're finally gonna get our new digital sign sometime here coming in November. One of the things I wanted to discuss with you is to give thought to what we do with the old sign as it comes out. Similar to the discussion we had last month about if we get that playground equipment out of the parking lot, I think we're comfortable opening that up to see if maybe the town or the township or library or somebody. But the one thing we hadn't discussed was get that old manual sign, and I don't know if somebody could come up with a second life for that would be useful, and maybe we do. But it's something I want to get on your plates to start thinking about now too. So, any questions or thoughts on that off the cuff?
I could put at the end of my lane with all kinds of stuff.
There you go.
There you go.
there you go.
How do you propose if we have several entities that are interested, how we kind of go about that process?
A bidding war.
Yeah.
Get that auctioneer. Yeah, I mean, if possible, I mean, that's part of the consideration too. We first have to determine if any of these things have value.
Yep.
And then and follow the proper procedures for that as well. Brian?
Would we want to do the same with the sign here? that one's off the one here on the corner.
That can be part of the discussion too.
Yeah.
Do we still have, is that still useful?
Eventually, it's gonna have to probably be reconfigured. You know what I mean? It says Wanatah School.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, how, I know it's an ordeal of keeping it updated and things like that. What, do you think there's a lot of usage from it, like when you put things on? Is it the focal point when you're driving through and picking up kids and stuff? Are you proposing that we work towards another digital one there that has the same messages?
I think we use this one so much now, I think we would be redundant with what we're putting on there.
well, I mean, one of the thoughts I had, but it exposes another problem that we still currently face and always, it has to be part of the discussion. I thought about, for either one of those signs, if you take it down, you put it, somehow mount it so that it's on wheels, could be moved for event purposes. Does it have any use? But the problem it exposes is we don't have storage
I was just gonna say.
for stuff like that.
Can you reskin, like you mentioned the name, can you like change out, if you wanna change or kind of
Yeah.
do like a repurpose of it? Like, even if you wanna, because right now it's not as nice looking, of course, as it was when we first installed it. We kind of have a, but I do think there's value if it looks good, it makes aesthetic, it makes our building look good.
I know somebody that can put wheels on it.
Do
I'm
it,
being serious.
do it, yeah.
It could be a nice idea, but again, you gotta have some place to pull it in, get it.
Right.
Storage is one of the issues.
Put it up on three, and there's a speed limit sign on it, how fast you're going.
Right on the road, Jim, right there.
Yeah, they don't even stop for our corners.
I was thinking in the back, so it's a pickup truck,
Mhm.
you can just,
Yes,
get mobile,
I love it,
Yeah.
I love it. Who mounted that on the bus?
very,
Yeah, you'd have clearance problems.
Possibly.
You'd have to mount on the side.
Treat it like a giant stoplight.
Think about what it'll do to gas mileage.
yeah.
Take it from 10 to 9.
Come on, up here, it seems all water from across the road.
Makes me think of the movie Blues Brothers. The big bell on top.
Yeah.
The microphone going.
Yeah. Well, that, Blue, she give us a principal's report.
Alright, we had a couple things yesterday here at, Wanatah, the 8th grade girls went to AK Smith. We got to see everything that they, did there. They always put something on for the 8th grade girls, which makes our 8th grade boys upset because they never get to go. Had a couple of them today tell me, girls got slushies yesterday, why didn't we? So we're gonna try to schedule a day for them to go to. But it's something AK Smith does, so there's a group of girls from, I think a lot of the county schools there. And then K through 2 went to the pumpkin patch yesterday. I think that might have been a curse though against us because it was the last nice day. I hope it's not the last nice day we have, but, yeah, so they went there in the afternoon. Last week was fall break and, the Lacrosse Lions Club was doing some work at Brumar Park and we had, was it 7 or 8 boys
Consistent.
out of the Leo's Club that, put time in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so we're really appreciative of them, of giving up their fall break and helping out. We had 2 girls qualified for regionals in cross country, Miranda Wozniak and Cindy Hudson. So that was good to see. 8th grade girls volleyball is doing very well and they have PCC next week. So hoping some big things for them next week because they've been playing really well. And that's all I got right now. So.
I will piggyback on that Brumar Park work. So could we, Brian and I and Dara, as Leo's sponsor, we were a little concerned that Craig Aikner might have been a pretty big ask of these boys on their fall break, especially with most of them with an impending basketball season coming up. And so we took it upon ourselves and said, boys, listen, you don't have to commit every day. It's the first day they were out there, they put in 5 hours. Pretty good work with shovels. And they came back every day. Now,
Well, who would pass up an opportunity to work with Craig Aikman?
exactly. And well, Craig's smart too. We started with me bringing donuts to start the work shift. But Craig fed those boys, I believe, all 3 days in fast track. So we had 7 or 8 just great kids.
It's great.
And they love hearing the history, the running dialogue of history for grade 8 too, who knows everybody and everything. And so it was good to see those kids listen to him and while they were working for a good cause too, so. And it's good because, Craig was the only Lion out there. Maybe one other guy would, whose name escapes me right now. Bill? Paul?
Paul Mahoney, I saw one day when I came
Okay.
to town,
Yeah.
away for parts.
Yeah.
Nobody else was there at that time.
So yeah, Brian is right on with that. Those kids are good. A lot of good kids there. Neat. So I've already filled you guys in on the yellow submarines and the fun we've had there for a few days, but we should get back to full capacity again next week. Brian's gonna help me out tomorrow. I need him on both ends tomorrow morning. So, to finish out the week, but that hasn't been too bad. That might be your 5th or 6th day this year.
Yeah.
On a short bus for us, but I told him, if it gets too bad, then we'll have to have a conversation again about what I'm asking of him. So far, he's acting. All right, who's got that's all I've got, guys.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's the
I'll second.
equipment trigger.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for everyone's attendance this evening. Next board meeting will be at La Crosse on November 18th.
Are you people going to, Fort County and go keep the lights?
What's that?
And then the festival of lights, it starts in November sometime.